back on duty here. We broke the news on BBC Newsline last night that a small number of the Special Reconnaissance Regiment have been deployed to counter the dissident Republican threat. Our Home Affairs correspondent Vincent Kearney joins me now. So Vincent, the Chief Constable this morning saying that only a very small number of these troops are being deployed, but the decision has caused a huge political row.
Indeed it has, Karen. As we know, the role of the Army, and in particular Special Forces during the Troubles, was highly controversial. So the news that a small number are being deployed here again to combat this in Republicans has angered nationalist politicians. We have both SDLP and Sinn Fein members of the policing board have strongly criticised the Chief Constable for not telling him about this decision. Sir Hugh Ord has defended his position and said he simply didn't have to tell the board because it's an operational matter and nothing to do with them. He's also rejected criticism this morning from the Deputy First Minister, Martin McGuinness.
I think it's a very negative development. I actually think it's quite disgraceful and shameful that Hugh Ord went to the policing board yesterday, sat with them for all of the day, and as soon as he left, within a few minutes, this news was on the television. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, the biggest negative development will be a successful explosion by these criminal lunatics which are out to wreck his world and my world and the communities in Northern Ireland's world. Because we have an effective, professional and well-controlled response led by my service, we have stopped that happening. We have to work flat out to continue to deliver that level of success.
So Vincent, what then is the unionist view of the situation?
Well, Karen, unsurprisingly, they have a very different view of the situation. To characterise their view, their opinion is that the Chief Constable believes he needs these additional resources and these special forces. Then that's fine as far as they're concerned. He can do what he wants in order to combat this in Republicans. Now, Ian Paisley Jr., a DUP member of the policing board, this morning rounded on Sir Hugh Ord's critics.
I believe there's a struggle going on within nationalism, within the SDLP and between the SDLP and Sinn Fein about who is the hairiest chest in these issues, who can really prevent the army from being here. The fact of the matter is, all of nationalism, all of republicanism failed in 2006 and 2007 to get the Brits out of Northern Ireland. We have national security resources here. Those resources need to be used and can be used to defeat what? Defeat the men of evil and defeat terrorism.
So where do we go from here? Clearly this isn't the end of the matter.
Far from the end, Karen. A short time ago, an SDLP delegation arrived at police headquarters to meet Sir Hugh Ord about this issue. In about 20 minutes' time, a Sinn Fein delegation is due to arrive at police headquarters to discuss the issue. We also know both of those parties have raised this with both the British and the Irish governments. It will also be discussed at a special meeting of the policing board next week. Now, the reality is, they can complain all they want. It's unlikely to change the decision to deploy these forces here. But in terms of the politics, I think the fallout could last for some time yet.
Thank you, Vincent. A developing story. We'll have more, of course, on BBC Newsline this evening at 6:30. And you can see Vincent's full interview with the Chief Constable, Sir Hugh Ord, on our website. That's bbc.co.uk/Newsline. A 72-year-old man
working very much undercover. Nonetheless, here at Sinn Fein, they're absolutely furious. In spite of the peace process, low-level violence continues in Northern Ireland. There have been 15 different attacks in the past 4 months by dissident Republicans trying to reignite the Troubles. That's why the security forces have brought in extra help for surveillance and intelligence gathering. A small number of soldiers from one of the Army's Special Forces units have been deployed behind the scenes. Republican politicians say the move is a backward step.
I have a very particular problem with any of those forces. I would remind yourself that I would be a victim of those organisations, having been shot myself by people in collusion with the so-called special forces. And there are many other people in this community who are still, as we speak, trying to pick up the pieces of their involvement in Irish affairs.
For 30 years, there were troops on the streets, working with the police during the worst years of the Troubles. That all ended after the IRA ceasefire. But the police say they still need some background support.
This is not some sort of invasion of Northern Ireland. A tiny number of people have come into Northern Ireland with technical expertise I simply do not have, and I need if I'm to keep my officers alive and to keep the community safe.
The Chief Constable says the threat posed by Republican dissidents is at its highest for 7 years. But that's not the issue. The problem is politicians here can't agree on how to deal with the threat. Well, as you've heard, this has all turned into a political row, but not at this stage a political crisis. Sophie.
Mark, thank you very much.